Hi, I'm going to read you a story. It's called Boris the Invisible Eagle. It was written by me, Steve Lemko, and here we go. Boris the Invisible Eagle. Eating food at my home is not an easy thing to do if there are children around me. That's because an invisible eagle keeps stealing the food out of my hand or off my spoon or fork. His name is Boris, and he is quite the pest. When this happens, I normally yell out, "Boris! Stop eating my food!" But then all I would hear him say is, "Okay, okay, 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 okay." But he never quit doing it. He kept eating the food off of my fork and spoon and would keep doing so for many years. Boris only comes around when there's a young child having a meal or snack with me. He first showed up when my two children, Amy and Travis, were very young. When my children grew up and left home, Boris did not come around for many years. I was happy about that, as I finally got to eat all my dinner instead of sharing it with an invisible eagle. That was Boris's thing, you see. He loved to eat my food when children were around me. Because he was invisible, I was not able to see him do it. That Boris was a real trickster. Then as the years marched on, I had four grandchildren. Amy's two were Zoe and Javier. Travis had two little ones, Saul and Violet. So once again, Boris is invisibly around me when the grandchildren and I are at the table. I would put some food on my fork and can't wait to taste how good it is when poof! My food would disappear. I would yell out, "Boris! Stop eating my food!" I would hear Boris say, "Okay, okay, 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 okay." But he never stops. The grandchildren watched as my face got all scrunched up as I yelled out Boris's name while rolling my eyes back. This would make them laugh really hard, even though one of them had puffy cheeks. You might be wondering how an eagle became invisible and why he was living with me. Well, let me tell you the story. One morning, a mother eagle, whose name was Alice, woke up and stretched her wings. She looked down on her three baby eaglets. They were about a month old. Her babies' names were Cindy, Rachel, and of course Boris. Boris was the oldest and a big trickster. Every morning, Alice would fly off to look for some food and worms to feed her children. When she found a worm, she would fly back to the nest and give it to one of them. With Boris being the oldest, he always got the worm first. Then Alice would fly off to find another worm for Cindy, as she was the second oldest. When Alice returned, Cindy was excited to see her, and she was very hungry. Alice lowered her head to feed Cindy when swish! Boris stole the worm out of his mother's mouth and swallowed it whole. This made Alice very mad, and she yelled at Boris to stop doing that. Boris replied, "Okay, okay, 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 okay." Alice flew away in search for another worm. When she found one, she flew straight back to the nest to feed Cindy. Once again, she lowered her head to give her daughter the worm, only to have Boris swish his beak over towards his sisters and then gobble up the worm. Alice yelled out, "Boris! I told you to stop doing that. You're making me very mad." Boris replied, "Okay, okay, 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 okay." One more time, Alice took flight to find a worm for her hungry daughter. She thought to herself, "By now, Cindy should be very hungry. It's all because of my trickster son, Boris. He's really starting to get me mad. When I tell him to stop, all he says is, 'Okay, okay, 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 okay.' But he keeps stealing the worms. He better not do it again." When Alice returned to the nest with the worm she just caught, she went straight to Cindy and lowered her head to place the worm in her mouth. Without hesitation, Boris once again swished his beak in front of Cindy's mouth and slipped the worm down his throat. Alice could not take it anymore. She stuck her face against Boris's face and yelled out, "I'm tired of you doing this, Boris. If you do it again, I'm going to kick you out of the nest." Boris replied, "Okay, okay, 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 okay." His mother was still very angry and said, "I mean it, Boris. If you keep taking Cindy's word, I'm going to kick you out of the nest. Just think how hungry she and her sister are. It's all because of you. Stop taking their breakfast." For the fourth time, Alice was in search for a meal for Cindy. Then she would have to go find something for her other daughter, Rachel. She was thinking how tired she was getting. When she returned with another worm, she glared at Boris and shook her head no. Boris replied, "Okay, okay, 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 okay." Alice again lowered her head to feed her baby daughter Cindy when all of a sudden the worm disappeared out of her mouth, going straight into Boris's mouth. "That's it!" yelled his mother. "I have told you many times to stop doing that. I also told you if you did it again, I would kick you out of the nest." Alice turned Boris around with her right leg, and she kicked Boris hard in the rear end, sending Boris down towards the ground, fluttering his wings. This was Boris's first attempt at flying, and he was not sure how to do it. All he knew was if he flapped his wings really fast, he would stay in the air and not fall to the ground. Boris did not fly very gracefully, but he did fly. At first he thought that flying was pretty cool, but he was beginning to get very tired doing so. Boris knew he could not fly much longer and became scared about falling to the ground. He had never been on the ground and felt he did not want to do so. "I can't flap my wings much longer," Boris thought. "I have to go down and rest." Boris was not very good at flying, but he was worse at landing. He flipped and flopped and finally landed on the ground on his head. Bonk! The funny thing was that when he landed, there was a splashing sound. "I wonder what splashed," Boris said out loud in bird talk. And then he scratched his head in wonderment because he could not see any water anywhere. Boris was very surprised that when he scratched his head, he could not see his wing. Then he looked at the rest of his body and he could not see it. "What? I don't understand. Why is the ground making splashing sounds? And why can't I see my body?" Then Boris realized that he had fallen into the magical invisible pond that his mother had told him and his two sisters about. You see, the invisible pond makes everything invisible that goes in it. Nobody knows where it is because it's invisible. Boris had accidentally stumbled upon the invisible pond. At first, he did not know what to think about that. Boris began to feel sad because now nobody would be able to see him. Then a big smile came on his face as he realized that this situation would help him to be an even bigger trickster. Boris was exhausted from his first flight, and he slept for 3 days. When he woke up, he had forgotten that he was invisible, and once again he was shocked when he could not see his wing. "Oh, I remember," Boris said, and then he began to smile. "I think I will go back to the nest and be a trickster to my mother and sisters." When Boris arrived at the nest, he sat above his two sisters. Alice was out getting a worm for Rachel, and Cindy had already had her breakfast. When Alice arrived, she lowered her head to Rachel with a worm in her beak. Rachel opened her mouth in great anticipation when, swish, the worm disappeared. "What?" Alice said with astonishment. "Where did the worm go?" "I guess I must have dropped it." "Okay, Rachel, wait here and I'll go get you another one." Then Alice flew off in search of a meal for her baby. When she returned to the nest, she made sure she held the worm very tight so she would not drop it again. Rachel opened her mouth and began to squawk because she was very hungry. Alice started to place her beak into Rachel's beak, then swish! The worm was nowhere to be seen. Alice was bewildered by what had happened again. She knew she had not dropped the worm this time. Then she began to realize what was taking place. She realized that when she kicked Boris out of the nest, he must have fallen into the invisible pond, and now he was invisible and back up to his old trickster ways. Alice is a very smart eagle, and she knew two things about the invisible pond that she never told Boris or her daughters about. Alice began to chuckle, and then she flew off. She came to a pool of water and filled up her beak with the liquid. Then she found another worm and flew back to the nest. As she began to feed Rachel, just like the other two times, the worm instantly disappeared. When it did, Alice sprayed the water and beak in the air. Right after that, Boris became visible. "Uh-oh," Boris said as he saw his mother looking at him with very angry eyes. "I think I better get out of here." Then Boris began to take off in flight. Alice reached out with her wings and took a hold of Boris and laid him across her knee and began to give him a good spanking. After each spank, you could hear Boris scream out, "Ouch! Ouch!" Then Alice started telling Boris the two things he did not know. "You see, Boris, the invisible pond will only make you invisible if you are dry. If you get wet, you become visible again." The other thing you did not know is that human children who are under 4 years old will be able to see you for 24 hours before you become invisible again. They will also be able to understand bird talk, and you will be able to understand human talk. Alice gave Boris a few more spanks and then said, Boris, I'm telling you for the last time, leave the nest and never ever come back. That hurt Boris's feelings, and he had tears in his eyes as he began to fly away. Alice shouted out as he was leaving, and remember, never come back. Boris replied, okay, 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 okay. Then he smiled, thinking how much fun he was going to have being an invisible trickster. As Boris was flying, he kept looking down for a good place to live. He wanted to stay where children are because they laugh when there's a trickster in the house. Boris flew for 2 hours, and then he saw a little girl and baby boy in the backyard playing. Amy, who was 3 years old and kicking a ball around the yard, and 6-month-old Travis were playing with toys above his head while in his stroller. Amy looked up, and to her surprise, there was an eagle above her head. This made Amy very happy, and she called to the eagle to come closer. Boris flew down and landed on Amy's shoulder and said hi to her. Amy was shocked she could understand bird talk, but she thought it was really cool that she could. Boris told Amy everything about his mother and how he became invisible. He explained that she will only be able to see him for 24 hours, and then he would become invisible to her and her brother. He told her he was looking for a fun place to live where there are children to play with. Oh, come live with us, Amy replied. We have lots of room, and I would love for you to be a trickster to my daddy. My name is Amy, and the baby over there is my brother Travis. What is your name? My name is Boris, he answered. Please come live with us, Boris. Please, and pretty please, Amy begged. Boris replied, okay, 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 okay. Then into the house they went. So now you know how Boris came to live in my house. The first night that Boris was at our dinner table, I was about to take my first bite of some mashed potatoes when I could not believe my eyes. Even though I knew I had filled my spoon full of potatoes, there was nothing there when I put the spoon in my mouth. It was empty. I was in bewilderment of two things. The first was that the spoon was empty. The second was that Amy and Travis were laughing their heads off. Travis had puffy cheeks. Then Amy yelled out, It's an invisible eagle who took your mashed potatoes. He has come to live with us and be a trickster to you. His name is Boris, the invisible eagle. What? I exclaimed. I don't want no invisible eagle living here eating my food. I'm hungry. Go away, invisible eagle. I then cautiously filled my spoon with corn. While I was looking around trying to see the eagle, my spoon suddenly became empty again. While the children were laughing hard again, with one of them having puffy cheeks, I yelled out, Boris! Stop taking my food! Boris answered back, Okay, 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 okay. For 18 years, I had to put up with Boris being a trickster. I was a little sad when Amy and Travis were big enough to leave my nest, but I was happy that Boris left too. I was not sure where he went, but to my surprise, he returned one day when I was eating some breakfast cereal with my oldest granddaughter, Zoe. She was 3 years old, just like Amy was when she first met Boris. I filled my spoon with some cereal. When I put it in my mouth, the spoon was empty and Zoe was laughing her head off with puffy cheeks. She shouted out, It's Boris the invisible eagle. I met him today. He has come back to be a trickster to you. Oh, not again, I replied. I yelled out, Boris, leave my food alone. Boris replied, Okay, 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 okay. So there you go. This is the story of Boris the invisible eagle and how he keeps tricking me when my children or grandchildren are sharing a meal with me. I have no idea where Boris goes when there are no children around me. I'm guessing he probably goes to your house to trick someone you are eating with. It will do no good to yell at Boris and tell him to stop. If you do, he will only say, Okay, 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 okay. But he will keep doing it. Boris really is quite the trickster. The end. Okay, now, if you want to play the Boris game, this is how you do it. This game takes 2 or more people. You need some food and a fork on your spoon. The first person puts some food on a utensil and looks up for Boris the invisible eagle. While they are looking up searching, another person gobbles up the food and has puffy cheeks. The first person looks in astonishment and yells, Boris! Stop eating my food! The other person says, okay, 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 okay. All right. So if you enjoy Boris the Invisible Eagle, there's three more books that are like this that you would enjoy. One is called Sylvia and Charlie. The other is called Lady Frog and Ben. And the third one is called Joey and the Wolf. And you can find them on Amazon, and you can either get audiobooks and listen to them, or Kindles or paperbacks. Now, if you're a little bit younger and you want to, read to your children at the beginning stage of wonderments and reading, I've written several books that would really go good with them. They're called One Stuffed Animal and Gus the Old Tire. I want to be a monkey. I want to be a tree. I want to eat a banana split. I want to be many things. I opened up the refrigerator. I opened my eyes. Crossing the USA. I want to go. And on my way home from school. So kids, I really enjoy writing to you, and I hope that I make you smile and you enjoy the stuff that I do write. And if you ever want to write to me and tell me what you thought of my story, you can do that at Steve Lemco. That's STEVELEM as in Mary, CO. You can write to me at stevelemco@aol.com, and I will write you back. I hope you're being good for your mom and dad, and maybe see you again real soon. Cheers.